Hey guys, it's Wolfgar from 329. So this past weekend, actually 2 weekends ago, we had Clash of Zones battle up against our first, because we're a pretty new state, up against our first T9, or Tier 9 troops. I just want to show you guys how that went, and then also just effectively, let's just say why Tier 9 is so difficult to defeat, and then also kind of things to think about when going up against a Tier 9. So if you take a look, the only person who defeated me all weekend outside of my screwed up attack against Nullberg is Shadow Spoons. Or Spoons Shadow. It would be so much cooler if his name was Shadow Spoons, but it's not. So Spoons kind of put in some work. They were pretty close battles most of the time. I don't think he hit me for anything serious. I think I ended up actually beating him every third attack. So he would hit, and then I'd beat him. When he sent his third APC would be fighters, I believe, yeah. So these are T8 fighters, and even though they're going up against my shooters, I still managed to win. Basically, if we just take a look at this, I have my shooters here, and he has his T9 vehicles. Now his T9 vehicles, he doesn't have maxed heroes, so we can't blame it on the heroes, because his heroes are actually about the same as mine. So we just can't blame it on those. So if we take a look at his unit attributes, I think this attack was before he got the presidency. So if we take a look, his unit attributes are pretty decent. His tech makes up 85% of the attack. My tech makes up 85% of the attack. Really, no difference in it. His tech makes up 85% of the resistance. Mine does too. There's no real difference in it. But then if we take a look down here at the health, that's going to be one of the major things. If you take a look at that health, you're going to see the technology makes up 55% of that. Now, if you take a look at my technology, mine makes up 25% of that. So he has an extra 30%, which actually shows you that if my tech, if his tech was not there, that he would have lower health, and I actually probably would have won this battle, because his stats would all be slightly lower than mine, and his health would have been lower too. Now, how did his health get up that high? That's kind of where I'm going with this video. So you can see as he he just has huge health here, and then later on he gets the presidency, and once he gets the presidency, it's kind of game over with these attacks. Now he's making half the damage, or taking half the damage that I am, just because these guys are so much higher, because his official position is giving him an extra 50% attack. With that, I'm going to break that down really quick, because lots of people don't really think this through in terms of going up against a T9, and when we went up against this T9, we were like, oh yeah, we should probably think that through a little more. So what does it take to actually get T9 in terms of anything? Well, one, you have to max out basically every single building. So I'll just show you here. If I were to take a look at unlocking this, I would have to have shooting range 25, institute 24. Okay. I'd also have to have all of this tech maxed. So let's just start off with fighters, because fighters are an easy example. But if I were to be going for T9 fighters, then I would have to have all of this tech down here maxed. This is increased defender might. So when your fighters are at home, their might is going to go up by 30%. That's a pretty big jump. That's again taking you from that 290 to 320. That's huge. And then also they're going to have increased defender defense. So that's their resistance, and that's up 30% as well. On top of all the other tech that most people have done, they're going to have a 10% counter effect. They're going to have 20% more might, 20% more might, 10% more counter effect, 30% crit rate, taking 30% less crits, and again increasing their defensive might, countering, and might, and resistance. So basically, if you had T9 fighters, they would just be beastly, because anyone who would hit your base is going to be going up against a huge amount of might and resistance, just simply by having T9s. I mean, you have to unlock it. So on each of these, that's going to be the case. So as you go to shooters now, you have to unlock level 20 of both of these in order to unlock this final one here. So in this case, it's going to give increased shooter attack up to 30%. It's also going to give increased shooter attack by 30%. So one of these, this is for siege attack, so this increases it when they are attacking someone. This increases it even if they are being attacked. But by 30% is still a big jump. And then they also have more restraint. They have increased might, they have increased resistance, more restraint, increased crit rate, and increased resistance. So each of these types is going to have a requirement to actually get that tier 9, and it's actually a fairly significant requirement. So again, on vehicles here, and this is where his one is so important, and basically why he won so much, was increased vehicle might for attacking, right? 30%. So his might goes up by 30%. Actually, this is skirmish, so this is tile hits, I believe. So if you would, yeah. But then vehicle reinforcement, increased vehicle health by 30%, and that's where that technology comes in. So that's where his was at 92 and mine was at 72, is because he has this maxed, so that he could even have these guys here. So that's only one part of the picture though, and also that's freaking expensive tech. That's only one part of the picture though, because if you take a look at this, this is just the health aspect. But then in those attacks, you also need zone conflict to actually be maxed. Now, zone conflict being maxed is a big deal. First off, you're just going to get 10,000 more troop space, 20% more attack in the other state, 20% more attack in your state, 20% more defense in your state, 20% more defense in their state, 10% more health, 10% more health in their state, 15,000 more troop capacity, and now gets the fun stuff, increased resistance by 20%, or increased might and resistance by 20% at the launch centers, and including at their launch centers, all the way up to 20%. So now all of a sudden, if you have all T8s hanging out in the launch center and a T9 comes in to attack, you should just run, because they automatically, just by hitting the launch center, are going to have 20% more might and resistance than you, because of where they're attacking. So they could be attacking their launch center, your launch center. It doesn't matter, but just simply because they have had to max this research out to do their T9s, they are up an extra 20%. So it's kind of at that point, like, you're gonna lose the fight because, well, they have so much tech that, I mean, I think that there are 2 million tech. Then increased max rally count. This is unimportant except for everyone in big states, like state 123 recently had a huge war, and they were rallying for basically every single hit, but they have people who have 550 million kills. And then the last bit of the tech, increasing the dead units to wounded units by 15%, and increasing the kill rate as well by another 15%. So that's why when it comes to, like, you'll take a look at some of the videos that I've posted of battles, when a T9 comes in, I might take a hit or two, but there's no way I'm going to the launch center, because right now I don't have enough tech to help me out at the launch center. If I had this tech max, then yeah, I would go and help out at the launch center, because then I'm basically on an even playing ground. But because they're T9s and they have all of this maxed, I'm effectively just wasting my troops, because if you take a look at the launch center, and you take a look at the kind of requirements of all of this, I think you can see it still here. During the war phase, all units lost during the launch center and giant gun battles will be permanent. That means you're automatically losing and those troops are dying. You can't ever revive, well, you can clone those troops, but you can't actually heal them. So if I were going into a battle with a T9 and taking over this, then yeah, the loss is significant. I think when Rudy's going up against anyone, even T8s, and he's battling for the launch center, I think each weekend he's losing 1.1 million troops. For me, that's like as many troops as I have. I have 1.4 right now. So it's a significant amount of damage and loss that you are taking each week if you do not have that maxed. And that's why going up against T9s is so difficult, because effectively, like, even if they just have vehicles maxed, they still need zone conflict maxed. And that zone conflict tech is really, really important for launch center battles, and also for the sheer amount of kills that people get, because they get a lot of kills. Like, even my ratio of kills is pretty good, but right now I've only killed 10 million and I've defeated 35. So you'll see some people have a significant switch in that. So yeah, I just wanted to run you guys through that, and then also, just again, I'm going to touch on this, basically any video that I'm shielded. I don't really shield too frequently, because really there's not too many people who well, there's no one in this state who's attacking, right? We're in a very peaceful state here in 329, which is perfect for growth, and then also people are interested in migrating. But basically what happens is, because I have all my APCs out here, if I were to get attacked right now with my APCs on tiles, I could get zeroed really easy. A level 2 could teleport in right next to me and attack me, 10 times back to back, and I would get zeroed. The only problem with that is, even if it was a level 2 attacking me and they couldn't do anything, typically to me, if they attacked me, each time they attacked me, they would take a percentage of my excess troops. So my excess troops can be seen right here, oops, well, actually, sorry, right here. Come on. So currently I have like 300,000 charges, 100,000 max, and 250,000 veterans just hanging out, not doing anything. But the only problem is they're not going to defend either, because they're not outside of the garrisons. the troops aren't participating. So they need the heroes to participate. So since all my APCs are out, I run the risk of losing effectively all of these troops that wouldn't fit into my hospitals. And my hospital capacity is only 250,000 right now. So it's worth, in my opinion, shielding, just in case the other state, and we're going up against 334 right now, just in case that other state, kind of decides to be a little mean and send people in to attack the big players. Because like I could go in, I could start an account, and within about 10 minutes I could just start attacking all of these guys. And they would have to either withdraw their troops off the tiles immediately without getting to pop a Clash of Zones ticket, and it would basically like ruin their gathering day, or I could, well, zero them and kill all their troops. So that's just, I want to touch on again, that's why I'm shielding during gathering events, just because the risk of someone just deciding to be a little bit of a dick and ruin like a week's worth of work or 2 weeks worth of work for you, and some of the money you've spent, it's not really worth it. So click like, subscribe, and keep following along for some more videos, and post any videos that you might want to see down the bottom.